Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to talk about something that could absolutely transform your college applications: scientific papers. And no, I'm not talking about papers you write FOR school. I'm talking about real published scientific research papers that you can contribute to or even write yours. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is a scientific paper? A scientific paper is a formal document that presents original research findings to the scientific community. It has a very specific structure. At the top you have the title, then an abstract, which is a summary, followed by the introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, and references. Think of a scientific paper like a detective report. You identify a mystery, gather clues using specific methods, present your evidence, and explain what it all means. Here's what makes it special. It must be peer-reviewed. That means other experts in the field read it, critique it, and decide if it's worthy of publication. It's like having your homework graded by the world's toughest teachers. Now you might be asking, why should I, a high school student, care about scientific papers? Picture two students applying to MIT. Student A has great grades, clubs, volunteering, sports. Student B has all of that, plus a published scientific paper. Who stands out? Student B is showing they can do real research, contribute new knowledge, and work at a university level while still in high school. Scientific papers demonstrate intellectual curiosity that goes way beyond what's required in school. You're not just learning what's in the textbook, you're trying to add new pages to the textbook. More importantly, it shows you can think like a researcher, not just a student. There's a big difference. A student answers questions that already have answers. A researcher asks questions that nobody has answered yet. Let's talk about the different types of scientific papers that exist. Understanding these categories will help you figure out which path is right for you. Type 1 is original research articles. This is the big one. These present completely new data from experiments or studies that nobody has done before. Here's how it works. You start with a question that doesn't have a known answer. You design and conduct experiments to investigate it. Then you present your findings as new knowledge for the world. For example, let's say you discover that an extract from a local plant kills certain bacteria. You test it systematically, compare it to known antibiotics, document everything, and publish your findings. That's original research. This is the most impressive type for college applications because it's the hardest to do. You're literally discovering something new. Type 2 is review papers. These synthesize existing research on a topic to provide a comprehensive overview. Think of a review paper like being a scientific detective who reads dozens or hundreds of studies on a topic, identifies patterns, finds contradictions, and presents the big picture. You're not doing new experiments, but you're creating new understanding by connecting the dots. For example, you might review all the studies on how climate change affects coral reefs, identify which factors are most damaging, and suggest where future research should focus. Review papers are often easier for high school students to start with because you don't need a lab. But don't underestimate them. They require incredibly deep analysis and critical thinking. Type 3 is case studies or reports. These present detailed analysis of a specific situation, event, or phenomenon. Case studies focus on one specific example and extract deep insights from it. Maybe it's an unusual medical case, a unique ecological event, or an interesting social phenomenon. For example, if there's a wildfire in your area, you could document how the local ecosystem recovers over months or years. Which species return first? How does soil composition change? That's valuable scientific documentation. Case studies are particularly great if you can make observations over an extended period. Universities love to see sustained commitment to a research project. Type 4 is meta-analyses. These use statistical methods to combine results from multiple studies to find overall patterns. Meta-analyses are powerful because they combine data from many studies to reach stronger conclusions. Individual studies might have small sample sizes or conflicting results. A meta-analysis pulls everything together using rigorous statistical methods. For example, you might find 50 studies on whether meditation reduces anxiety. Some say yes, some say maybe. Some show small effects. A meta-analysis combines all their data to determine the true overall effect size. This type requires strong statistical knowledge, but no lab work. If you're good at math and data analysis, this could be your path. Now you might be wondering, where do high school students even publish scientific papers? Great question. Option 1 is journals specifically designed for high school research. These include the Journal of Emerging Investigators, the Journal of Student Research, and several others. They have peer review processes adapted for student researchers. Option 2 is conference proceedings. Many scientific conferences, especially regional ones, welcome high school presenters. Your presentation gets published in the conference proceedings, which counts as a publication. Option 3 is working with a university mentor and publishing in their affiliated journals. If you're doing research with a professor, you might become a co-author on papers in professional journals. Option 4 is preprint servers like RxV. These aren't peer-reviewed, but they're legitimate ways to share research and establish priority on discoveries. Many professional scientists use them. Let's get specific about how having scientific papers helps your college applications. On the Common Application, you can list your publication in the Activities section, write about the research process in your essays, include links in the Additional Information section, and your research mentor can write you a powerful recommendation letter. For scholarships, many STEM scholarships specifically ask about research experience. Having publications shows initiative. You didn't wait for someone to assign you this work. You went out and pursued knowledge beyond what was required. It shows persistence. Real research takes months or years to complete. You hit dead ends. Experiments fail. You have to redesign your approach. Finishing shows you can stick with difficult long-term projects. It shows intellectual depth. You're not just memorizing facts for tests. You're thinking critically, designing methodologies, analyzing data, and contributing to human knowledge. It shows collaboration skills. Most research involves working with mentors, lab partners, or research teams. You learn how to communicate scientific ideas and work in professional settings. Let me give you a real example that a student actually did, with a humorous twist. A high school student noticed that the Wi-Fi in different coffee shops had wildly different speeds. Instead of just complaining about slow internet, this student turned it into a research project. They systematically measured Wi-Fi speeds at 20 different coffee shops, noted factors like router placement, building materials, number of users, and time of day. They discovered that router placement and wall construction materials were the strongest predictors of Wi-Fi speed. Coffee shops with concrete walls and routers in back rooms had significantly slower speeds. They wrote up their findings, including practical recommendations for coffee shop owners, and published it in a journal focused on technology and society. That's taking an everyday observation and turning it into legitimate research. In their college essays, they wrote about how curiosity drives their learning and how they see research opportunities in everyday life. That's exactly what top universities want to hear. So how do you actually get started with scientific papers? Let me give you a realistic step-by-step path. Step 1. Identify something you're genuinely curious about. Don't pick a topic because it sounds impressive. Pick something you actually want to understand better. Step 2. Find a mentor. This could be a teacher, a professor at a local university, or a professional in that field. Step 3. Start small. Maybe begin with a literature review or a pilot study. Step 4. Gradually build up to more ambitious projects. In your first year of research, maybe 9th or 10th grade, focus on learning. Do a literature review. Run a small pilot study. Get comfortable with the research process. In your second year, tackle a larger project. Collect substantial data. Learn proper statistical analysis. Start drafting your first paper. In your third year, submit your work for publication. Present at science fairs or conferences. Start a new related project that builds on what you learned. Finding a mentor is probably the most critical step, so let's talk about strategies for that. Strategy 1. Email professors at nearby universities. Be specific about your interests. Mention why their research caught your attention. Offer to volunteer in their lab. Professors are busy, so make it easy for them to say yes. Strategy 2. Talk to your science teachers. Some have research backgrounds or connections to researchers. They might even be willing to mentor your project themselves. Strategy 3. Apply to summer research programs. Programs like RSI, SSP, or university-specific programs provide mentorship and structured research experiences. Strategy 4. Start with citizen science projects. These are research projects that need volunteers to collect data. It's a great way to learn research methods while contributing to real science. Here's what a good email looks like. Subject line: high school student interested in your coral research. Body: I read your recent paper on bleaching and I'm fascinated by your methodology. I have experience with water quality testing from my AP Environmental Science class. Would it be possible to volunteer in your lab 5 hours per week? I'm available weekday afternoons and Saturday mornings. That's specific, shows genuine interest, demonstrates relevant skills, and makes a clear, reasonable ask. Now let me tell you about common mistakes students make when trying to do research. Mistake 1. Choosing a topic because it sounds impressive rather than because you care about it. You're going to spend months on this. If you're not genuinely interested, you'll burn out. Mistake 2. Trying to do everything alone. Research is collaborative. Even professional scientists have mentors and colleagues. Don't try to reinvent the wheel by yours. Mistake 3. Waiting until junior year to start. That's late. You need time to develop expertise, complete a study, write it up, go through peer review, and potentially revise and resubmit. Start in 9th or 10th grade if possible. Mistake 4. Giving up after your first rejection. Professional scientists get papers rejected all the time. It's part of the process. Reviewers give you feedback to make your work stronger. Use it and resubmit. Here's the mindset difference. Bad mindset: I'm doing this because it will look good on my application. Good mindset: I genuinely want to understand this better, and publishing my findings is the natural next step. Admission officers can absolutely tell the difference. Let's talk about the real skills you'll develop through research that go way beyond the publication is. Critical thinking: you'll learn to evaluate evidence, identify flaws in arguments, and distinguish correlation from causation. These skills transfer to every academic subject and career. Data analysis: you'll become comfortable with statistics, data visualization, and interpretation. In our data-driven world, these are incredibly valuable skills. Scientific writing: you'll learn to communicate complex ideas clearly and concisely. This makes you a better writer in all contexts, from college essays to professional emails. Project management: research teaches you to plan long-term projects, manage your time, adapt when things don't go as planned, and see something through from start to finish. Resilience: you'll face setbacks. Experiments will fail. Papers will get rejected. Learning to handle failure professionally and persist anyway is one of the most valuable life skills you can develop. Now you might be worried, what if I do all this work and don't get published? That's a valid concern, so let's address it. First, understand that the research process itself is valuable, even if you don't end up with a publication. You still developed all those skills. You still have a substantive experience to write about in your applications. Second, there are other ways to showcase your work. Present at local or regional science fairs. Create a detailed portfolio of your research. Write about the process and what you learned in your college essays. Third, admission officers value genuine intellectual curiosity and the attempt to do serious work. Even if your paper isn't published by application time, you can discuss your ongoing research and the insights you've gained. Fourth, remember preprint servers. You can post your work there immediately while it's under review at journals. It's still a form of public dissemination that you can reference. Let me share a humorous example that illustrates how you can turn anything into research. A student actually conducted a study on procrastination among high school students. The ironic twist? The students in the study procrastinated on filling out the survey about procrastination. The researcher had to send multiple reminders. But this actually became an interesting data point about how procrastination is context independent. The study found that social media was the primary distraction method, with students checking their phones an average of 42 times during a 3-hour study session. Based on the data, they published recommendations for evidence-based time management strategies. What started as a joke about procrastination became legitimate research on attention and productivity. and the college application essay practically wrote its. The student wrote about how they turned a personal struggle into systematic inquiry, showing self-awareness and scientific thinking. Now let's talk about something really important: how to balance research with everything else in your life. You have school, research, extracurriculars, family time, social life, and sleep. How do you fit research in without burning out? First, be strategic with your time. Dedicate specific hours each week to research rather than trying to squeeze it in randomly. Maybe it's 3 hours every Saturday morning. Consistency matters more than total hours. Second, choose a project that fits your constraints. If you can only commit 5 hours per week, don't pick a project that requires 20 hours of lab time weekly. Third, communicate clearly with your mentor about your availability and limitations. Good mentors will help you design a project that fits your schedule. Fourth, remember that quality beats quantity. It's better to do one research project well than to juggle 3 projects poorly while your grades suffer. Fifth, don't let research replace all your other activities. Universities want well-rounded students. Keep playing your sport, stay in your clubs, maintain friendships. Research should be one component of a full life. Let me give you a realistic timeline for research during high school. Freshman year, explore your interests. Read popular science books. Talk to teachers. Identify potential mentors. Maybe start volunteering in a lab just to observe. Sophomore year, start your first real project. Focus on learning proper research methods. Don't worry about publication yet. Build your foundation. Junior year, complete your study and write up your findings. Submit to journals or present at conferences. Start planning your next project if time allows. Senior year, ideally your paper is published or under review by the time you're submitting college applications. You can reference it directly and write about the experience in your essays. Here's the visual timeline. Start exploring in 9th grade. Begin serious work in 10th grade. Complete and submit in 11th grade, and reference your publication in 12th grade applications. Let's talk about specific fields and what kind of research opportunities exist in each. In biology, you can participate in citizen science projects like bird counts or water quality monitoring. You can do field studies in local ecosystems, or work with a university lab on genetics or microbiology. In chemistry, environmental analysis is very accessible. Test water or soil samples from different locations. Some students even work on green chemistry projects, developing more sustainable chemical processes. In physics, computational projects are great if you don't have lab access. Astronomical observations with amateur telescopes can yield publishable data. Building sensors to measure environmental phenomena is another option. In computer science, you can develop new algorithms, analyze large data sets, or apply machine learning to interesting problems. The barrier to entry is low since you just need a computer. In social sciences, survey research is very doable. Study how your school implements policies or conduct interviews about community issues. Behavioral studies are also accessible. In mathematics, you can work on proofs, explore properties of numbers or geometric objects, or apply mathematical modeling to real-world problems. Now let's talk specifically about how research helps with scholarships, because this is huge. Major science competitions like Regeneron Science Talent Search, International Science and Engineering Fair, and Davidson Fellows offer massive scholarships. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars for top winners. Many universities offer automatic scholarships for students with published research. Some schools give full tuition scholarships to students who demonstrate serious research capability. Research experience can qualify you for honors colleges and special programs that come with additional funding and opportunities. Corporate STEM scholarships like those from Google, Microsoft, or pharmaceutical companies often prioritize applicants with research experience. Professional scientific societies offer their own student research awards. The American Chemical Society, IEEE, and many others have programs specifically for high school researchers. Let me give you concrete resources you can explore today to start your research journey. The Journal of Emerging Investigators at jei.org is specifically for middle and high school students. They provide mentorship through the publication process. Zooniverse is a platform with dozens of citizen science projects. You can contribute to real research and learn the methods before starting your own project. Google Scholar is where you find academic papers. Start reading papers in your area of interest to understand what questions are being asked and what methods are being used. Check local university websites for outreach programs. Many universities have programs specifically designed to connect high school students with research opportunities. Look up science fair networks affiliated with ISEF. These often provide mentorship and resources for student researchers. You might be thinking, my school doesn't have research programs or a science Olympiad team or anything like that. What do I do? Here's the thing. Research is largely independent of your school. You don't need your school's permission or support to do research. You need curiosity, time, and eventually a mentor. Many successful student researchers worked completely independently outside of school. They reached out to university professors, worked at home, and submitted their work on their own. With the internet, you can even work with mentors remotely. Some students have collaborated with researchers at universities across the country via video calls and email. If you're really ambitious, start a research club at your school. Get a teacher to sponsor it, recruit interested students, and create the resource you wish existed. Let me wrap up with some final advice and encouragement. Start now. Seriously, don't wait. The earlier you begin, the more time you have to develop expertise, complete projects, and build a portfolio of research experience. Follow your genuine curiosity. The best research comes from questions you actually care about, not from trying to impress admission officers. Embrace failure. In research, most experiments don't work. Most hypotheses are wrong. That's not failure, that's science. You learn more from what doesn't work than from what does. Build real relationships with your mentors. They become advocates who can write powerful recommendation letters and open doors to opportunities you didn't know existed. Document everything as you go. Keep detailed lab notebooks. Save all your data. Photograph your setup. You'll need this for writing your paper and for presenting your work. Remember that it's about the journey, not just getting published. The skills you develop, the people you meet, and the experience of doing real research are valuable regardless of whether you end up with a publication. You can do this. The tools are available, the opportunities exist, and you have the intellectual capability. All you need is curiosity and commitment. So what should you do right after watching this? Let me give you concrete next steps. Step 1. Write down 3 topics that genuinely fascinate you. Not what sounds smart, but what you actually wonder about. Step 2. Go to Google Scholar and read 2 recent papers on one of those topics. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. Get a sense of what questions researchers are asking. Step 3. Identify 2 potential mentors. Look at your school's science teachers, professors at nearby universities, or professionals in that field. Research their work so you can write a personalized email. Step 4. Draft an email introducing yours. Include what fascinates you about their work, what relevant experience or skills you have, and what you're hoping to learn. Step 5. Set a realistic timeline. If it's 9th grade, plan to start serious research by 10th grade. If it's 11th grade, you need to move faster, but it's not too late. One final thought. Every single scientist you've ever heard of started exactly where you are right now. They didn't know what they were doing at first. They made mistakes. They had failed experiments. The difference between them and everyone else is that they started and they kept going despite the difficulties. Your research journey begins with a single question. What do you want to understand better? What problem do you want to solve? What mystery intrigues you? Universities aren't just looking for students with good grades. They want students who are intellectually alive, who ask questions, who want to push the boundaries of knowledge. Having research experience, especially published research, shows them that you're that kind of student. It proves you have the curiosity, work ethic, and intellectual capability to thrive at the university level. To conclude, scientific research isn't just for PhD students and professional scientists. It's accessible to motivated high school students like you. The resources exist. The journals are increasingly open to student work. The universities and scholarship committees are actively looking for students with research experience. What you need is curiosity about the world, commitment to see a project through, and the courage to reach out and get started. Your college application will be stronger. Your scholarship applications will stand out. You'll develop skills that serve you throughout college and your career. But most importantly, you'll contribute something new to human knowledge. You'll add a small piece to the great puzzle of understanding our world. And that's what science is really about. Not grades or prestige or college admissions. It's about asking questions and working together to find answers. Thank you for watching. I hope this has inspired you to start your research journey. Good luck, stay curious, and remember that every great discovery started with someone asking why. Now go ask your own questions and find your own answers.